Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Timeless Sagas. I'm your host, and today we're diving into an absolutely hilarious topic, the history of comedy. So sit back, relax, and prepare to laugh as we journey through time and explore the origins of humor and how it has shaped our world. Now, when you think of comedy, you might picture your favorite stand-up comedian or a hilarious scene from a sitcom. But comedy goes way, way back, all the way to ancient civilizations. In fact, humor has been a part of human culture since the dawn of time. So, without further ado, let's rewind the clock and start at the very beginning. Picture yourself in ancient Greece, surrounded by philosophers, playwrights, and poets. Comedy as an art form was first recognized in the 5th century BCE. The Greeks absolutely loved their plays, and they had a whole festival dedicated to Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry, where comedies were performed alongside tragedies. The two main types of comedy at the time were Old Comedy and New Comedy. Old Comedy was characterized by political satire and bawdy humor, while New Comedy focused more on everyday life and romantic entanglements. Sound familiar? That's because these themes are still prevalent in modern comedy. One of the most famous playwrights of ancient Greece was Aristophanes, who was known for his biting wit and satirical take on politics and society. His play, The Frogs, is a perfect example of old comedy, poking fun at the cultural elite and their constant bickering. And guess what? People are still performing his plays today, over 2,000 years later. Talk about timeless humor. But the Greeks weren't the only ones having a laugh. Comedy was also alive and well in ancient Rome. Playwrights like Plautus and Terence were heavily influenced by their Greek predecessors, but they put their own Roman spin on things, incorporating slapstick humor and farce into their plays. They even had a special type of play called a mime, which was a short, comedic sketch performed by actors in exaggerated masks. Sounds a bit like the early precursor to sketch comedy, doesn't it? As the centuries rolled on, comedy continued to evolve. During the Middle Ages, humor took a more physical form in the shape of jesters and minstrels, who entertained royals and common folk alike with their acrobatics, songs, and witty banter. They were the stand-up comedians of their time, traveling from town to town, making people laugh and brightening up their days. Now fast forward a bit to the Renaissance, a period known for its artistic, scientific, and intellectual achievements. But did you know that the Renaissance also brought about a comedic revolution? Italian troupes of actors, known as Commedia dell'arte, traveled throughout Europe, performing improvised plays and sketches. These performances were often characterized by stock characters, such as the cunning servant, the miserly old man, and the star-crossed lovers, who would later inspire iconic characters in works by Shakespeare, Molière, and countless other playwrights. The influence of Commedia dell'arte on Western comedy cannot be understated. It laid the foundation for modern improvisational theater. Speaking of Shakespeare, how could we talk about the history of comedy without mentioning the Bard himself? While he's perhaps best known for his tragedies, Shakespeare was also a master of comic timing, wordplay, and wit. His comedies, like A Midsummer Night's Dream, Much Ado About Nothing, and Twelfth Night, are still beloved by audiences today, with their clever puns, mistaken identities, and hilarious misunderstandings. As we venture into the 18th and 19th centuries, we find comedy becoming more accessible to the masses, with the rise of popular entertainment venues like music halls and vaudeville theaters. This era introduced us to the comedy duo, a format that would later give us iconic pairs like Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, and even Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. The vaudeville stage was also where many early stand-up comedians got their start, honing their craft and paving the way for future generations of funny people. The 20th century brought about a comedy explosion, thanks in large part to the invention of film. Silent comedians like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton captivated audiences with their physical humor and expressive faces, proving that laughter truly is a universal language. As film technology advanced, so did comedy, with the arrival of talkies and the introduction of sound. This allowed for even more comedic possibilities, such as witty dialogue, wordplay, and, of course, the legendary comedic timing of the Marx Brothers. As we entered the age of television, comedy found a new home in the living rooms of millions. From the situational humor of I Love Lucy to the groundbreaking sketch comedy of Monty Python's Flying Circus, TV brought laughter into our daily lives like never before. And let's not forget the late-night variety shows, like Saturday Night Live, which have launched the careers of countless comedians and continue to shape the comedic landscape to this day. Stand-up comedy, too, continued to flourish throughout the 20th century and into the present day. Legends like Richard Pryor, George Carlin, and Joan Rivers pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable humor, tackling controversial topics and challenging societal norms. Today, stand-up comedians have a wide range of platforms to share their humor, from comedy clubs and Netflix specials to podcasts and, of course, YouTube. And that brings us to the here and now, where comedy is more diverse and inclusive than ever before. From sitcoms and rom-coms to stand-up and sketch comedy, there's something for everyone to enjoy. The internet has also played a massive role in the democratization of comedy, giving anyone with a funny bone and a camera the opportunity to share their humor with the world. So, as we've seen, comedy has come a long way since the days of ancient Greece and Rome. It has evolved and adapted to suit the tastes and sensibilities of each era, while always remaining true to its core purpose, to make us laugh. Because in the end, laughter truly is the best medicine, transcending time, culture, and language. And that, my friends, is the timeless saga of comedy. Thanks for joining me on this hilarious journey through the ages. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Timeless Sagas for more fascinating stories from history. Until next time, keep laughing and stay curious.